joined by Mr. Osten Olorunsola, who is the Director, Department of Petroleum Resources. Morning, and thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Well, I'm quite sure you've gone through the report and heard several comments about that same report. And what are your thoughts, by the way, about it?
Well, I guess for me the best way to start is to really anchor on what my Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Desani Addison Madueke, said on the day that those reports were actually laid before the President. And that was the fact that she said it, that clearly that we shouldn't allow squabbles to take away from the value of the hard work that, eminent Nigerians have actually put into this exercise. I have gone through the report myself. There's quite a lot of value in there, no doubt about that. But it's also very good to note that right at the front page of the report, they also put a disclaimer there that quite a lot of the data were not verified because they really needed a little bit of time. So I at the end of the day, I really don't see what the squabbles are really for, because it's quite clear in the report that there's still a lot of loopholes here and there to really be covered. So for me, all in all, it's a usable report. All we need to do is add a little bit of value by doing that same verification, which I think will happen during the process of the white paper committees.
Why do you think those loopholes came in there? Where is it that the team put together was incompetent or incapable of?
It was also stated that due to insufficient time. That's basically what they stated in the report. That so maybe really what we'll have done was probably to ask for a little bit more time, or like they rightly also said that they advised the government to pass it on to another committee to complete that remaining bit.
But in your opinion, the findings of the report, what do you think of the findings of the report?
Still, again, like what I said, quite a lot of them are usable, no doubt about that. But findings, you got to be very careful here. If a set of findings is based on data that is not credible, then you've got to be very careful there. That's why I said the first thing to do is really clean up the data and then sharpen the findings. And then at the end of the day, certainly we'll be able to make use of this report going forward for Nigeria.
All right, in that same paragraph, it also says that the data used in this report was presented by various stakeholders who made submissions to the task force in the course of their assignments at various dates, which they eventually went on and disclosed.
Sure.
So some part of it, yes, they've not gone to actually verify.
Sure.
So not that data submitted to them by those, what do you call them now, stakeholders,
sure,
were out and out false, because I'm not sure that they deliberately will come and distort figures and submit. It will impugn the integrity and credibility of that such a medium that comes forward. So to that extent, yes, they submitted these items, and then they identify a lot of rot going on, which is what this is meant to correct anyway. And revenue is at the center of all of this. What role does DPR play, first and foremost, before we even go forward?
Okay, I mean, I think our roles are pretty clear to a lot of Nigerians. Some people call us the regulators of the oil and gas industry. Some people call us the chief watchdog. But really, in terms of real credible intangibles, our key roles are pretty clear. Our core role is to optimize revenues for government in this sector. Okay, and whatever way we do it, be it making sure that things are properly engineered upfront, even before you construct, or be it chasing people to make sure that they pay up as at when due, that's our core role. Secondly, we especially in the upstream side, of course, we administer all the leases, and all that. One of the key things we also do is HSE in this business. This business is really high risk and high capital intensive. to such an extent that someone has to almost be on top of each of these companies on daily basis. Otherwise, the levels of death, levels of environmental devastation will have been far, far much more than what you really see. And of course, the most important aspect of our role, which is really the monitoring and ensuring compliance. And I just underscore the fact one of the most difficult aspects, purely from the size, the scale we're really looking at. If you look at it from the upstream side of things, for example, we have moved from a country of 7, 8, or 10 companies producing. Today we have 33 companies that are actually producing oil and gas in this country today. And it's the same set of DPR, probably even shrinking DPR in terms of population, that is again regulating this aspect. That scale is even completely exponentially higher in the downstream side of things, where the number of jetties, the number of terminals, also if I ask you actually, do you know how many petrol stations we have in this country today? 25,000. And they're all scattered around the nooks and corners of the country. They're also supposed to be under regulation.
By DPR?
It is, of course, by the same DPR, roughly 1,000 people throughout the whole country. So it's really, it's stretchy. We're doing the best we can do within what we have. And so indeed, those are the core roles for now.
Allow me to comment here, because now we understand that you also regulate the downstream and the upstream sector, as
Correct.
well as some other issues we'll also talk about, and maybe if we have time we'll just talk on the PIB issues briefly. But coming back to the Ribadu report, which we also saw that what everyone has called a disclaimer at the start, was DPR one of those who they never got full information from, because since they claim to have some difficulties, was your own department part of those that couldn't give them all the information they needed?
Put it this way, DPR was actually part of this committee as an ex-official person. So it's really, and we went into this task force severally on sorts of presentations and all that and all that. I think, and again, go back to our industry, I can present a set of data to you and leave you. If you want to play it back in a different packaging or different format, I will always advise, play it back to those who give you the data first and foremost, so that you're still sure you are saying the same thing.
Was that done?
That wasn't done. That's really the verification that exactly I was saying. I mean, there are quite some very vivid ones in the report. For example, adding oranges to apples and calling them at the end of the day apples. It is not. It doesn't work that way.
But we understand you're a member of that committee.
We were, but that's up to the point of the discussions. But as soon as the report is written, as a matter of fact, we actually asked for the report, the draft, so that we could add value in all these areas of gap.
But I thought the draft was given to the minister in September.
I'm not particularly sure it actually reached her in September, but I will, in terms of process, I will have still played it back to the stakeholders we talked to first, before collating, and then before submitting it to the minister. It shouldn't be the reverse.